Chapter 2 Part 1 The girl woke up to the touch of a blanket on her fingertips. She was on a cot in a Norvillian military hospital. Her vision was hazy, she was barely conscious. She couldn't move, not an ounce of strength in her muscles. It was a nurse that happened to notice her half-opened eyes. The nurse scurried away with the news of the girl's recovery. The nurse returned with 3 doctors in white coats. They began a series of prodding and then shone light on her. It was 15 minutes later when they hung back, seemingly satisfied. It was about an hour since she awoke when her consciousness returned. Her body was still immobile, but she could now see the patterns of the cream-colored ceiling. A man dressed in a military uniform entered the room. He had black hair, pronounced cheekbones, and eyes that fixed into a permanent scowl. The great bombing medal gleaming on his chest spoke of his reputation as a dragon slayer. The rank insignia on his collar was that of a brigadier general, although the girl wouldn't understand what it meant until later. He studied her with his dark and bleak eyes, the one characteristic to those who had seen cruelty. His irises were black too. The deep crease between his eyebrows also indicated that the life he had led had not been a smooth one. He said to the girl, "Long time no see, it seems," he said in human language. She understood nonetheless. Every language has true voice as their roots. To understand the true voice meant understanding every language of the past and future. What the man had said was in high lingo of Norvilland, in which the girl decrypted the meaning without difficulty. Alas, understanding and being able to communicate were separate matters. Her body moved. The body, which had refused every of her earlier commands, took action before her consciousness could comprehend. She sprung from the cot with unbelievable speed, the frowning man well within her sight. This was the man who killed the dragon. She pulled back her right hand, the bandage-wrapped hand, and imagined herself crushing the man's unprotected features. She delivered the strike, unbelievably swift and forceful blow from a wounded girl. The attack was faster than human perceptible speed. The man parried it with one hand. With snake-like motion, he entwined their arms and used the girl's own momentum to throw her on the floor. With that, the girl was immobilized for good. In a raw contest of strength, she could have easily won. She had bathed in the dragoness blood and fed on the fruits of Eden. Her body was perfect, internally and externally. The man, on the other hand, was gaunt and sickly looking. Despite the odds, she was no match for the man. "Woman, don't ignore my words," he scolded. There was a pressure in his voice that demanded obedience. "If I greet you, then greet back. Have your parents not taught you?" "Oh, I did not." The girl listened to him. That was all she could do at that moment. "Then, let me introduce myself, or you might know me already." She had barely spent any time in the human world, she wondered how she could know him. "My name is Sigibert Siegfried, head of House Siegfried, a dragon slayer." That was when a handful of memories clicked. For example, the imposing portrait decorating the mansion hallways. The head of the family, whom she, as one of many children, had never met. Father. "Sigibert Siegfried, your look. I gathered that you have some recollection." Brunhild. Brunhild. That was her name until she was 3. She was the daughter of a dragon, bathed in dragon's blood, and also a descendant of the dragon slayer bloodline. "I am not Brunhild. I have no name," she corrected defiantly. She remembered the dragon's voice. "I will call you, you." From that moment, she had given up Brunhild and became that you. "I will pretend I did not hear that," Sigibert continued, trampling on her sweet memories. "I do not know you. I never knew I had a daughter named Brunhild until the Silver Dragon's Island operation. I don't know what Siegfried is either." Sigibert silently rolled up his left sleeve. There was a tattoo on his left wrist. "I saw the same crest on your wrist. You are of Siegfried blood. I have made inquiries. You are my daughter who was kidnapped 13 years ago." She found the false unknowingness harder to play. "Then what?" she demanded. "You expect me to be your heir?" "Precisely." He didn't sound like he was joking. "Your worries are unneeded. I have no love for you, despite our blood. The point was, if I don't appoint an heir soon, people are going to start asking around. He said as if the words were poison. I knew about you. Bathed in the dragoness blood raised by it, playing family with the creature, Sigibert spat. Brunhild tested her muscles, but it was no use. Sigibert had planted his foot on her back firmly. So she twisted her neck at him and growled, I am not playing. Sigibert looked down on her with a convoluted expression. That guy, Sax, said we could reach an understanding with proper negotiation, but no good. 13 years apart. Or does it have something to do with our hair color? He was anything but intimidated of her. Why? What have you done to me? She demanded. He watched her squirm for a moment before realization drew on him. Oh, I will tell you. You will never beat me. You have no choice but submission. He began to deliberately undo the bandage on her right arm. A shiver ran down her spine. Fragments of her last memories on the island returned to her. She had tried to shield the dragon. Her right half was blown off in the process. Then why did she still have her right arm? Dragons are similar to lizards, after all, he remarked, chuckling to himself. The dragoness blood increases the healing factor. However, growing a lost limb was far from possible. The reason you cannot is that I am a dragon slayer. The bandage fell. And you are a dragon. Her right arm was covered in shining white scales. No, the dragoness arm was attached to the shredded remains of her right shoulder. Good for you, now you can finally be together forever. No. No, no, no. No! What are you saying? Did you not have a great time savoring its blood? At that time, when I drank his blood. I won't let him have it. The dragon is mine, was what she thought. So she drank and drank and drank. The right arm was the result. You are a vile woman. Red haze filled her vision. Kill. I will kill you. You snake. I share your sentiment. It itches me to not kill you. A stranger from Eden is a monster in my eyes, not a daughter. Alas, Sigibert could not kill Brunhild. Political pressure. The military and research institutions all demanded her, the first creature of Eden that had been secured from the burning. The process of taking her into military custody and caretaking was already underway. If only you hadn't killed the dragon. I wouldn't have had to live with such disgrace! She snarled. He sneered, laudable passion! She screamed, from the bottom of her lungs. A doctor came rushing, probably from the scream. During her short pause for breath, she heard, sedate her. Then a sharp pain of a needle in her left arm. Her consciousness quickly faded away after that. Sigibert turned his back to her and stepped. Remember this, I'll kill you. Wherever you run, avenge, with my father's own hands. He gave her a sidelong glance. It is up to you if you want to kill me or not, but I doubt your father would want that. Even with muddled consciousness, his words were clear to her. Don't you dare patronize me. She opened her mouth. Nothing. The sedate was already at full effect. Brunhild listened as his footfalls disappeared into the distance. Part 2. Sigibert left the hospital behind him. His next appointment was at the port, another Eden operation briefing. However, as he crossed the hospital yard, a boy stepped in. He had the same jet black as his eye like an inkwell. Siegfried, his son. Sigibert halted a pace before the boy, entrusting the silence to do the talking. For he could not. Words, speech, writings, Sigibert wasn't accustomed to any kind of communication. Silence was his perennial companion, silence did the speaking for him. In this case, he switched to a specific note of quietude. The boy carried his shoulders high, his accusing eyes bore into Sigibert. Just like the boy's late mother. He sighed inwardly, dealing with the dragoness daughter was infinitely simpler. Numbly, his son began, I heard you went to see Brunhild. I did. His rebellious son did not use honorifics, but he ignored it. Are you going straight for the port? Yes. Sax had said that there was an invisible bond between parents and children. Sigibert believed him. He could not be more perplexed than with his son. Will she get military protection and status? A rank? Command? She will. Then why am I just a sergeant? He did not demand, but his cold voice might just as well. However, he will not yield. Sigurd's rank was higher than it should be already. House Siegfried does not buy rank commissions, but once in a while, commanding officers promote family members on their own, hoping to curry favor. Despite Sigibert's active disencouragement, Sigurd started as a private and worked his way up. To the boy, the army was his everything. But, leave the army. He scowled. Dragon slaying is not about honor and glory as you would think. Sigurd stepped closer. Sigibert held back the urge to backhand him. I need to show you what I am made of. I am a soldier. I will prove it to you and be the next dragon slayer! No matter how committed you are, Bomong, my mantle, I will not give it up, not to you. Not to me? The boy quickly caught on. Tell me, Brunhild? Possibly. Why? She just landed here and you readily give her everything? He trembled in anger. Sigibert failed to come up with an explanation, so he sidestepped and made for the port. I am not leaving the army! His son's voice followed him tenaciously. I'll prove I am better than her. Then you can! The father pretended not to hear his son's voice and left. Johann Sachs was a colonel in the Norwegian Imperial Army. He and Sigibert Siegfried were of the same age. But other than that, they were exact opposites. Sigibert was a man of few words, a rationalist who always takes the shortest route. For Sachs, rowdy would be an understatement for him. He was an optimist who believed that the best parts of life were the side trips. It was a miracle both of them got along so well. Or perhaps, it was because they are opposites that they see more in each other than others could. The rationalist and the optimist naturally differed in the speed at which they rose in the ranks, but Sachs didn't mind. In fact, he even found command bothersome. Back to the point, Sigibert usually came to him with requests. This was their usual occurrence. Sigibert takes the command, he does the talking. Sigibert plans an operation, Sachs talks people into it. Their talents complemented each other's, that was why they clicked. He would whip the new recruits into shape and correct capable but problematic soldiers. Sigibert solved problems with violence and domination. They worked fine as a stopgap solution, but far from permanent and reliable. That's where the amiable Sachs comes in. As Sachs sighed loudly, the driver of the pickup truck gave him a dubious glance. But this time, the troublemaker was of a different caliber. She drank the dragoness blood, the dragoness daughter, Sigibert's daughter, and a 16 years old to add. He suppressed the urge to muss up his hair. He had gone to the trouble of setting it up, he couldn't let it go to waste. Especially with girls, first impressions were crucial. Moreover, he was old enough to be her uncle. Sachs was more concerned than ever with his cleanliness. To distract himself, he recited the girl's profile. Brunhild Siegfried, the girl recovered during last month's operation. From his analysis, there were 4 contributing factors to the problem she presented. First, the dragoness blood. It was well known to the public that the blood was more potent than any poison, with a fatality rate of over 99%. But there was also a confidential secret: the few samples of people who survived suffer from mental illness. In Sachs' view, the girl in question was 99% mentally deranged. Otherwise, she would not call herself the daughter of the dragon. This self-description was the second problem. No, he wasn't sure. I had heard of a girl who was raised by wolves. Under special circumstances, it might not be impossible to self-identify as a daughter of a non-human? Moreover, the third problem is that despite such a barbaric upbringing, to my surprise, her bloodline was the prestigious Siegfried family even people from continents over have heard of. She was the daughter of Sigibert. He got it that Sigibert wasn't good at communication, But this was his own daughter. Here comes the fourth problem. Sax had cajoled the busy man Sigibert to remain at the capital until Brunhild recovered, and sent him as soon as word got out that she woke up. But when Sigibert got back, he murmured in his lifeless monotone, "I can't handle her. I don't want to. It itches me not to kill her. Oh, come on, that's too much." She might have been separated for 13 years, no, considering him, he probably had never met her before. But she's your daughter, right? Sax couldn't understand why he would say that, nor how he could be so cold to his own daughter. At that moment, he snapped. Before it could get bloody, Sigibert took advantage of his sentiment and skillfully shoved Brunhild to him. "You are the one who insists we bring her back, you are the one who cared for her the most. To me, you seem to be a better father to her than I possibly could. Don't just throw her at me." Sax stroked his neatly trimmed beard. He knew Sigibert Siegfried. Not just the dragon-slaying hero who made Eden campaigns a reality, but the man behind the name. However, Sax believed that Sigibert's true strength was his insight. The frown of his head, a way to see things for what they were. He was certain Sigibert had what it took to climb to the very top of the military, with that insight of his. "But, Sigibert, he grumbled, why did you make such a stupid choice as this time around? No matter what I do, I can't be Brunhild's father. You're the only one, Sigibert." End of Chapter 2 Part 2.